Welcome back to another episode of Wild Medicine. I am your host, Dr. Michelle Paris. And this week on the podcast, I am so excited for you guys. I have an awesome guest, someone I've always wanted on the podcast. We have Joy McCarthy on the podcast. If you are living under a rock and you don't know who Joy is, she is the creator of Joyous Health. She's the best-selling author of the Joyous Cookbook, Joyous Detox, Joyous Health. Several of those I have in my own home and have used those recipes for years. She's also the co-founder of Hello Joyous, her organic and plant-based beauty brand and skincare line. We have a conversation all around her journey into the wellness space, the development of quite severe rosacea for herself personally and how she healed that, and then how she used that as the impetus to inspire and help more heal and feel empowered around their own skin through using her organic line. And you can use her cookbooks as well for healing the infertile environment. We talk all about her entire product line, how to look and navigate the beauty care and skin industry, what considerations to think of your pH balance, supporting your skin's microbiome, supporting, our internal environment. It was a really awesome episode. We talked about self-worth. We talked about, everything. It was a really, really fun episode. Head over to the show notes if you want to learn more about her product line and go and follow her. She's every bit as joyous as you would think one named Joy would be. So without further ado, I welcome the beautiful and lovely Joy McCarthy to the podcast. Joy, welcome to the podcast.
Hey, thank you. I'm excited to be here.
I'm pumped to have you here. Before we hit record, I told you, you're like a dream guest I've always wanted to have on. So I'm super, super excited to have you here.
Well, I love your podcast and I'm so honored you asked me. You should have asked me like forever ago.
It's like imposter syndrome. And it wasn't even me last. It was my team who was brave enough to be like, Joy, will you come on? Anyways.
Oh my God, that is so cute.
You're so awesome. Before we get into all of the incredible things you do, because I am sure there's not a person in my world who doesn't know who you are, but in case that's possible, can you give us the rundown of who you are and how you got into nutrition and now skincare, and you're just doing incredible things for women and families? Just give us the rundown.
Okay, thank you so much. So I feel like I'm sure many of your guests and many people I got into sort of the wellness industry because of my own health challenges, and I was dealing with hormonal imbalance all throughout my teens and my 20s, and I had thinning hair, I had digestive problems, I had anxiety, and, going down the standard conventional path of taking different medications for anxiety, for digestive problems. You name it, I was trying it all. And I wasn't getting any better. And I was working in marketing and advertising at the time, working for an agency in Toronto. So I didn't love my job because I feel like I've been a student of nutrition my whole life. I've always been really big into wellness and fitness. And so there was like a very distinct time. I will never forget it. I saw yet another endocrinologist because we wanted to get to the bottom of what was going on with my hormonal imbalance. And I remember so distinctly, they said to me, okay, I have this brand new, just released birth control pill you should try. And I was like, oh, here we go again. I was thinking to myself, like, no, it's like, very low estrogen, giving me the whole sales pitch. They're like, let me write you a prescription. I think this is going to help balance things out for you. So I took home the prescription, and that night I just cried my eyes out. I'm just this is now by my mid-20s, I guess. I was so done, bent, trying all these different things. I was like, there has to be a different way. And keep in mind, this is a while ago because I'm 47. And so it wasn't like I could just call my naturopath, Michelle, and be like, hey, what the hell's wrong with me? Can you please fix me? It wasn't as commonplace to look for natural solutions, but there was something inside of me that I was just like, I need to try a different path. So I literally woke up the next morning and I so dramatically ripped up the prescription. And I was like, that's it. I'm done. I'm going to figure this out myself. And I just dived so deep in, down the rabbit hole researching everything I could, and I healed my own body. And I thought to myself, when I was going through all of these things, my hair started to grow back thick again. Like I had like I have a lot of hair, as you can see. I had like half the amount of hair back then that I have now. So my hair started to grow back thick. I started to feel better. And it wasn't just like one thing I was doing. There were various things. My nutrition, my supplements, my lifestyle. I ditched the boyfriend I was dating for many, many years. Like there was a lot of things that I that I did. So that's what inspired me to go back to school. And I went to IHN, where I met your beautiful, amazing sister, who we both adore. And I studied there at the Institute of Holistic Nutrition. And then I did dabbled in so many other different courses. And I had such a hunger for this, because I thought to myself, if I have gone through this, I know there are other women who are suffering and who are not getting anywhere, and who might have never thought, oh, maybe I should try something that's not the conventional route. And I have to say, I had a really great doctor. He was willing to like try everything. He was just sending me to every specialist known possible. But it wasn't until, I really took the responsibility for my own health that I was able to transform. And then I know we'll talk about this later, but then years later, like a couple decades later, I developed rosacea, and we can talk about that whenever. And another thing I'm proud to say I healed myself, but it took a while. But that was like my healing journey, and like how I got into this business, you could say, into this industry, because I just really wanted to help other people. I was like, if I have this knowledge, if I was able to heal my body, I got to share this. And I don't see clients anymore. For the first 7 years of my career of being a nutritionist, I did do one-on-ones. But then I stopped doing that at the end of 2016. And, I'm doing lots of other things now to keep me busy.
Yeah, no, you've been impacting the world in a really powerful way for a long time. Like I've bought cookbooks. I really loved a lot of the work that you have done. What I want to highlight, and I think this is so unique because I've been in this industry a really long time too, to have that strength and tenacity to be able to have that moment where you're like ripping up the prescription, but like to be brave enough to be like, I'm going to figure this out. Like, where do you think that comes from?
I think, that's a great question. I never really thought about that before, but I would say it comes from having a solid foundation of parents. Like I am very lucky, and I feel like this is pretty rare. I had an amazing mom and an amazing dad who were so supportive, and they were the parents that were like, Joy, dream big. You can do whatever you want. Like, I'm serious. They were so supportive, and I feel like that helped me a lot as an adult to come back to that. And I always used to think to myself, like, you've got this. It wasn't like I was calling my mom and like crying to my mom, oh, like, Mom, please help me. But I was like, no, I got this. I can figure this out. And I feel like having that foundation of unconditional love, like as a child and growing up, really served me well. And yeah, I would say that's, and also just like a medical system that was failing me, just realizing that, okay, I've been in this for quite a few years now and I'm not getting anywhere. But it is a good question, because I feel like so many people just kind of put up with feeling like shit, and that they don't have that light bulb moment. So I don't really know why that is. For me, it was kind of like just hitting the rock bottom and knowing that I like deserved better. I always tell people, like, you have no idea how good the body is designed to feel. You deserve to feel amazing, right? And so many people just put up with feeling okay. They think like not getting a cold or flu means they're like thriving with health, but that we both know that's not health. That's not like true wellness, just like avoiding a cold or flu. True wellness is like feeling your best. And it doesn't mean feeling your best 365 days a year, because as we were chatting before we started, I was saying I'm not like feeling my best right now because my whole family dealing with a virus, and I'm like, I'm not getting sick. But yeah, thriving. I think we all deserve to thrive and feel our best. And when we do get sick, we know we're thriving when we do get sick, and we're not taken out for a month. Our body, we feel better after a week or 10 days because we have that solid, healthy foundation.
I think you hit the nail on the head. That's the expression. Not being my best either. I found myself, and this is actually how we initially met. I found myself very connected, or in a position where I started community circles, which I remember pitching to you on stage because you were a judge when
Oh,
I pitched it.
really?
You remember that? Which was a big deal. But anyways, because
Did you
what
win
and
that thing?
no, I didn't win.
Okay, because I got to vote, right? Because I'm pretty sure that I voted for you. Now it's coming back to
It
me.
was like
I
also
was
the
so
criteria
impressed.
was a bit different, which then made sense to me why I didn't win. But it very much propelled my business, which was awesome to have the opportunity. So I was good with,
Mm.
but the criteria I think was different. But thank you for your vote. But to really highlight what I think is what I've learned to be essential around healing and advocating for ourselves too, is having a high level of self-worth, I think is fundamental to
Mhm.
long-lasting transformative change. And I think the reason why so many people tolerate not feeling well is they don't feel worthy to feel well, because not all of us had a very similar raising to you where
Mhm. Yeah.
you're being pumped with how much pure potential you are, which obviously every human has, but it's not what maybe every human believes about themselves. And I know, and I agree with you, very few people know how truly good it feels and have no idea how much the body desires to feel amazing and what's possible when that happens. And that's how I wound up in naturopathic medicine as well. As like when I did
Mm.
the first elimination diet, I felt like I had unlocked the secrets of
Yeah.
health, and I wouldn't have called myself sick at the time. It just was so vastly different from my day in, day out, like, repetitive experience of just tolerating and getting through things instead of thriving.
Right.
So I really do. I want to highlight that because I think that is one of the most potent things someone could say is when we have a high level of self-worth, or understand that that's a fundamental piece of health, then we're able to
Mhm.
at things differently, right? Like we're then able to say, okay, well then what? If this isn't the answer, if this isn't aligning for me, if what options are being dispensed to me aren't working for me, then how am I going to figure this out? And so, I think it also makes sense why you're the leader that you are and helping so many people tap into and understand that worthiness piece and then what options
Mhm.
are available to us when
I love
those,
that. That's such a good insight.
yeah, like,
So I guess the question is then, I don't know, it just makes me think. I'm not the interviewer here, but then I'm like, okay, well then like how can we help people have greater self-worth who are listening to this and who are like, I've been dealing with this stuff and I'm not getting any better. And I feel like it's something that like you have to continue to work on, even if regardless of what foundation you come from, when you're a child, I feel like it's like a constant thing to work on, having your own self-care and making yourself a priority and making sleep a priority and making getting outside in nature and like exercise. I know for me, like I have to move my body. I like need intense exercise sometimes and sometimes like, slower, lower impact exercise. But I feel like movement and exercise for me is definitely tied to my self-confidence and how I feel in my own skin. So, and just like my mental health and my happiness. So for me, that's like when we're talking about self-worth, that's definitely something that is important for me to feel good in my own skin and to have good mental health. And it is really like making sure that I make that a priority.
one of the things that we teach in the Wild Collective is the concepts of cyclical living, how to harness and understand how women are cyclical in nature, that we are infradian in our rhythm. Our hormones wax and wane throughout a 28-day calendar that aligns with our menstrual cycle. One of the ways in which we start this conversation or can help support women is through our cyclical nourishment guide. We're taking what we understand about cyclical wisdom, nourishment, and how to help you thrive. It is robust in information and understanding of what's going on at every phase of your menstrual cycle, as well as recipes and nutrition considerations, macronutrient considerations, and even minerals and common deficiencies that can perpetuate a worsening PMS phase, particularly strained or stressed luteal phase. Knowledge is power, and when we can put these pieces together, it is so helpful. And it allows for us to make more informed and empowered decisions. Sometimes we feel exhausted and depleted because we are just going against our innate nature. Looking at ways to reclaim our cyclical wisdom and power is how we start to move forward in a more aligned way. So go check out our nourishment guide in the show notes and enjoy. Yeah, I totally agree. And I think to answer your question a little bit from the perspective I've seen, I think staying curious, right? It's like, I think
Yeah.
this is why we need people who are like, give light, like are magnetic. You're one of those people where you're like, wow, she seems to have figured something out. And you seem
I
pretty,
definitely have not.
I don't have anything figured out. Well, you have.
It's all an illusion.
It's just Instagram scrolling. But
Yeah, exactly. Don't believe what Instagram tells you.
I think I do think having access to people who have figured it out, staying curious, asking different questions are these opportunities to say, okay, well, I may not come at it from a very similar situation, because I wouldn't say that that's naturally what I felt about myself, not because I didn't have an awesome raising. I just struggle with other things. But when I figured that out, it was like, oh my gosh, other people need to know about this. So I'm going to talk about my life to this. And, those who, I would say most women who are in wild in the wild collective don't come in with a high level of self-trust or self-worth, but hanging out with like-minded individuals and staying curious about different information, they start to really take radical responsibility and believe how powerful it is to be in communion with other people. And maybe just like someone might be either steps ahead or have a different perspective. And you're just like, well, maybe that could be me, like holding on to like, maybe I could, maybe that's possible. And that's what I mean about even how you show up is like, there is this like lovely humility, but loveliness about you and positivity about you, where someone else might be like, well, why couldn't I figure that out? Why couldn't I try, this nutrition intervention or trying something different? I think, I have seen a lot of your ads for your skincare line, which I know we're going to get to. And, showing your skin and exposing that part of having rosacea.
Yeah, let me tell you, that was not easy. And the funny thing about that ad, so my husband is my business partner, and so he takes care of the ads and stuff. So when we recorded that together, the intro was not supposed to be like how bad my skin looked. And then I got served that ad. And I knew that it was in there. I just didn't know it was going to be like so front and center. I was like, whoa. And we had like a whole conversation. I'm like, okay, you know what? It's okay. Like, I need to show people like how bad my skin was so that I can give other people hope that if they have acne or rosacea or any sort of skin issue, that they can heal their skin. But that was hard. That was hard to share that, to be totally honest. But now it's out there.
I believe you, because I've started sharing some of my metabolic health journey, because that's where I focus these days. And putting those photos where I was so swollen, it's confronting, right? Like, it's like, who is that girl, right? Like
I know, it's so weird. I know. And it also, when I see it, it still makes me feel a bit sad. Because I knew how sad, I knew like how it was really affecting my self-esteem. Because keep in mind that I was a nutritionist. That wasn't all that long ago. And I had to go out and do like public speaking. And I was like, why am I dealing with all of this when I feel like I do all the right things? So it was a hard time. It was a really hard time for me. And I'm just so proud that I'm past that. But it's a journey, right? It's like, there's always going to be like different pivots. You can't like just eat the same way and take the same supplements and do the same movement and expect the same result for like 20 years, right? You have to pivot and make changes as you get older.
Yeah, I think it is very humbling. I do think patients originally think that they arrive at this place called health and then nothing happens, right? Like we just dive and so it's very humbling when you realize it really is a journey. And yeah, with every age and stage, and I was saying this to you before we hit record, with myself arriving into perimenopausal shifts, I'm definitely noticing skin changes. And I've had to really look at like, okay, how am I going to navigate this? Because these are things I hadn't dealt with before. And I know I felt very similar to you when I was in school. I developed adult onset acne, and here I was in natural medicine. I should have known all the things. And I, was really struggling. So, that's,
You think it was stress? Like, do you know when you were dealing with
a bad relationship? Talk about relationships and skin. That's an interesting one. But that, for sure, I had just ended a really, really toxic relationship, and it seemed like everything was, I was very stressed.
Hard.
I had, some digestive stuff. And yeah, it was, those are difficult things when you think you should have it all figured out and you realize, no, health is an evolution. And I think we'll get to it, but how much your internal environment, how much your emotional state, how much your spiritual state are
Mhm.
factors. And I think this is getting more and more attention, but in some arenas still considered quite woo to be putting all of
Yeah.
the pieces together, right? So I would say that there was a strong correlation to going through that and seeing it show up on my skin.
Yeah, and I mean this the skin issues, I'm sure you see this in your practice too, that they are hard ones. It's hard
Mhm.
to help. Skin issues are tough because it's multifactorial. There's so many factors. It's not just one thing. It's not just some cleanse. Like people sort of outside of the wellness bubble, I feel like, focus so much with skin stuff on topical. Oh, it must be something I'm using. And then they're switching everything out and trying to figure it out. Yeah, there's so many different factors. There's usually not one single factor, unfortunately, which gets a bit frustrating when you're trying to heal your skin from issues. It's interesting, yeah, because like estrogen plays such a huge role in healthy skin. And I feel like maybe even like 10 years ago, we didn't really even know that. Like it's changed the perimenopause conversation has changed so much. I feel like from when I was a kid and my mom would talk about her skin being dry, it was never like, oh, it's because, I'm in my mid 40s or I'm in my 50s now.
No.
Yes, so it's great. All these conversations are happening and we're better understanding our bodies.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. It's so true. These things were not topics of conversation. And even like really we were pretty critical of estrogen even a decade ago. And now
Yep.
I remember seeing a post of someone putting like, you're going to miss her when she's gone. And that couldn't be more true. Like starting to feel the changes of, that switching. You're like, oh my gosh, no, I will, obviously
Yeah.
balanced, but, also having a reverence for these natural sex hormones that are circulating through our body at certain levels. It's a shift when they do change. And I'll say from clinical practice, when I had like a very traditional quintessential naturopathic practice, skin was one of my most challenging and rosacea being one of the most challenging cases.
Mhm.
So let's get into
Yeah.
that a little bit in your story, because I know there's a lot of people that would benefit. And I do know that there's a higher
Mhm.
as we age to develop rosacea.
Yes.
So
Yes.
how did you figure this out? Tell us everything.
Yeah. So, okay. So I mentioned earlier before we started recording, I'm kind of the poster child for rosacea. And the reason I said that is because I'm of Celtic descent. As you can see, I have fair skin. It runs in my family. That being said, rosacea is very common. Millions. I think it's something like 450 million people worldwide suffer from it. So many people don't even know they have rosacea. And for people who don't really know what it is, it's essentially an inflammatory based skin condition. It's redness of the skin, inflammation of the skin. You get like these flare-ups where the best way I could describe it when I would have flare-ups is it felt like you could like fry an egg on my cheeks. Like my cheeks were just like literally on fire. And so how dermatologists diagnose it is they say basically if you have skin redness and irritation for about 3 months that doesn't go away, then you have rosacea. That's like how you kind of get a diagnosis. So for me, I've always been someone who blushed easily. I've always been someone who's sensitive to the temperature changes outside. If it's really hot, my cheeks will get really red. If it's really cold, my cheeks will get red. So I'm kind of, again, the poster child. But it's so, so common. You would not believe the number of women who DM me on IG a day, probably 5 or 6 people. Oh my God, I just got diagnosed with rosacea. It's unbelievable. I feel like it's actually increasing. So like I said, I feel like it's always sort of like been there. I've always like had more sensitive skin, but it wasn't really until like I hit 40. I hit my 40s and I had a miscarriage in, I think it was like 2018. And I kind of feel that's when I really started to notice it. And I had it pretty bad. No, sorry. It was prior to 2018. Anyways, in 2020, when I look back at pictures of myself, I feel my skin really didn't become start its healing journey till like around 2021. So I had the chronic redness. I had all the bumps. We were talking about perioral dermatitis. I had that too. And I had the rosacea bumps, which often people confuse for acne, but they're very different. And a lot of times people are treating it like acne and they're making it way worse.
Mm-hmm.
And the skin barrier function is severely compromised when you have rosacea. So like that natural fatty protective layer of your skin, the lipid layer of your skin, that protective layer is really compromised with rosacea. Like you see people tend to have very like dry skin. And so when they go outside and it's cold and windy, they have a flare up so easily because their skin barrier function is compromised. So it's an inflammatory skin condition. I had all the bumps. I had what was considered severe rosacea because if you saw my pictures, which you did, basically it just looks like my whole face is red and then you've got bumps everywhere. And so it's hard to cover up because the texture of your skin is so off. And the second you put like any foundation on it, your skin looks like it has so much texture. It looks like chunky almost.
Yeah.
So I went down the rabbit hole of research myself. And this went on for 4 years, by the way. This wasn't like I'm like, oh, I have rosacea. Oh, I've cured it. No, it took me 4 years to get to the bottom of it. So when I was kind of at my like rock bottom, like felt like I was trying everything, I decided, okay, I'm going to go to dermatologist. Like, let's just see, like maybe at this point I need to go on some medication because I feel like I have tried everything, even though I hadn't. I felt like I tried, I learned, low histamine diet's very important to me. So I learned that through my journey. I learned about different food sensitivities. I did the whole elimination diet and I just wasn't getting a lot better. So go to the dermatologist. And I was so embarrassed. This was like the time, we had to wear masks. And so like, I was just so self-conscious. And I remember sitting there, he's like, okay, please take off your mask. And his face was like, whoa. And I felt like so like terrible. I'm like, doesn't he see like the worst skin condition? And the look of his face when I took my mask off was just like, okay. He's like, okay, so your age. Okay, so the first thing you need to do is go on the birth control pill. And I was like, the birth control pill? What? I'm not having any more kids. I'm in my 40s. So the birth control pill then is very, very common with rosacea to recommend this gel that's an antibiotic. And then he wanted to put me on like a broad spectrum antibiotic for like 3 or 4 months, an oral antibiotic as well. So I said to him like, I'm very cautious about that. I'm very hesitant about the antibiotic because of my gut microbiome and all that. And he's like, no, don't even like, that has nothing to do with your skin. And I was like, okay, that's where we're at. And I was like, so I said to him, so I'm very curious if you're saying that the antibiotic works, like by what mechanism, like how is it working? Like, are you telling me that I have like all this bad bacteria? Do I have dysbiosis? Do I have dysbiosis on my skin? He's like, well, the reason we use antibiotics is because of their anti-inflammatory effect. And I was like, oh, okay, that's really interesting. So he gave me the prescriptions and I did not do any of that. So I took the prescriptions and then I go on like Reddit, I go on all the forums. I'm like, okay, I'm going to research this to death to find out, like, does it actually work? And everything I came across was like, oh, did this for X weeks or did this for 6 months or 3 months. And then it got way worse. That was the response from everything I read, that if you follow the conventional method of trying to heal your skin from rosacea, it's actually just going to get worse. So it's like, well, of course it's going to get worse because you're going to carpet bomb your gut microbiome, carpet bomb your skin microbiome. So it's like, no, I'm not doing that. So my healing journey was, it was like a mishmash of trial and error, of trying all of these different things to see what had the biggest impact on my skin. And some of the things that had the biggest impact were sugar, but specifically even really limiting sugar, natural sugars in baking, maple syrup, honey. So I was like, okay, I'm going to like try and cut out all of these things and instead use things like and I don't really like the taste of monk fruit, by the way. I use it very little. Monk fruit, stevia, like really limit, just have, the most balanced blood sugar I could possibly have. So low histamines, cutting out almost all sugars. That's when I started to really notice a difference. And then because I had been using natural skincare probably since like the early 2000s, I've been using like natural organic products. I was like, I have been using these same products, not the Hello Joyous products, but I had been using these same organic products for a long time and they don't irritate my skin, but are these really the best for my skin? So then I started going down the rabbit hole of reading everything. Oh, so many different books, listening to podcasts. I enrolled in this like integrative dermatology program to like really learn about skincare. And I was like, wow, I had no idea how much the pH of my skin impacts my skin sensitivity. Because that's the biggest thing with rosacea. Your skin is so sensitive. And the more alkaline your skin is, the more sensitive it is. So I'm cautious of saying like my skincare products played a huge role, but they weren't the only thing. And I say that because when people reach out to me and like, oh my God, use Hello Joyous, like that's going to cure my skin. Yes, it was a big factor because when I started using our products consistently, which was April 2021, I have a picture, a before and after of 4 weeks. All of the like red bumps totally gone. The texture of my skin totally changing. However, like I said, I'm cautious about saying it wasn't just the skincare, but that was a big piece of the pie. Healing your skin from rosacea is as much about an inside approach as it is an outside approach. And my problem was that I was so focused on the inside because of being a holistic nutritionist and my education and just my thought process. For many years, I didn't even think about the outside. And then when I did, that was like the missing puzzle piece. And that's when I had a really big dramatic change. So that's kind of like my story. And it wasn't like overnight. And still to this day, I have to be careful with certain things. I eat a very anti-inflammatory diet. I eat very like little, even when it comes to natural sugars. You know, if I'm making pancakes for my family, like I'll have the smallest dollop of maple syrup because I am just always cautious even with those things. But Michelle, I honestly felt like because I had dealt with it for so many years, I was just like, this is just going to be my skin. This is because like it runs in my family. This is just how it's always going to be. And when I was trying to cover it up with stuff, like foundation just made it so much worse. And whenever I see people with skin issues and they're just like slathering their face in foundation, I'm just like, oh no, just please stop. Just like let your skin breathe, because that's just even the natural, like I was using the natural makeup products, just always made my skin way worse. When I'm talking about cosmetics specifically, like trying to like cover it up. That was a really long rant.
No, I loved it. Thank you. I think we needed that because this is, I agree with you. It's on the rise. It's complex. I think you really had a serious case from the picture in your ad. It was quite a serious case of it. So if you can figure it out, so can everybody else. And I can so relate to parts of your story. I was talking to you before about perioral dermatitis, and that really came up from all of my metabolic healing. I found that I was really sensitive to things, and I was like, I keep looking internal. And recently I started exploring topical like microbiome support, and it's made a world of difference. So to your point, we can become so fixated on parts of our healing that we forget the integrative holistic.
What's right under your nose.
This episode is brought to you by the Poppy Clinic. If you're looking for an integrative approach, our team of naturopathic doctors is there to support you every step of the way. Whether you're looking to learn more about period literacy or hormone balance for your tweens and teens, or you're looking to optimize fertility during that perinatal and postpartum phase, or maybe you're at the phase where you want to start having a conversation around perimenopause and menopause, or even metabolic health, we have a naturopathic doctor for you, providing support with menopause hormone therapy, labs, an integrative, customized approach, talking about nutrition and movement, and even IV vitamin therapy. There is something here for you. So if you're looking for a more in-depth conversation, individualized approach, health education and empowerment, the Poppy Clinic is here for you. If you want to go learn more, check us out at Poppy Clinic. The other thing that triggered that you said for me to like really highlight this is I think there's so many of us who are very health conscious and have swapped all of our ingredients. And we just assume because it's organic and clean that it's all going to be okay. So I think I probably fall into that category. And I did too. I was using all Beauty Counter for a bit. It went away. And that's when I was like kind of adjusting what I was going to do next, and really noticed my skin flared. And so now working on my microbiome, that seems to really be helping. I think what's amazing is you keep taking what you learn and really helping, thousands, if not millions of people, which is super, super cool. So are there any things that you noticed about products that are out there that can be problematic? And really, what did you do to formulate these products to ensure that obviously that were so helpful with your healing?
Yeah. So I would say, well, first, in terms of like the products out there, it is so true. Like even natural products are not always suited best to your skin. And I would say, the things that you really want to be cautious of are cleansers, like foaming based type cleansers that are really stripping that lipid layer of your skin. And so even products that are labeled as like SLS free. So obviously the conventional beauty industry uses a lot of SLS. SLS is like that foaming agent that's in it's in our shampoo, it's in so many different cleansers. The nice thing is that in the natural industry, SLS is brands have gotten rid of it. However, they've replaced it with other ingredients that are still too stripping for the skin. So, there's natural forms of SLS, but I still feel that a lot of cleansers out there are stripping too much of the lipid layer away. And when you strip away that lipid layer, you have more water loss from your skin because that layer protects your skin. It seals in moisture. And when you're stripping away, like, for example, if you wash your face and it feels like tight and dry, you have stripped away that protective barrier. So when you wash your face, it should almost feel like your skin is like silky and velvety. It should almost feel like your skin is not clean. And it's a bit of a mindset shift because your skin should still feel moisturized when you wash your face. So a really good tip for people, because I feel like people are over washing their face, is only cleanse your face once a day. Even people who have acne and really oily skin, just trust me on this. Try it. Only wash your face at night. When you're actually going to bed, you take off your makeup, your cosmetics, any dirt, excess oil. If you're using the right products, you really shouldn't have to cleanse again in the morning. You don't want to be cleansing a clean face. You want to be using a toner and helping to adjust your pH. So where was I going with this? The key thing is first, like if we first look at like cleansers, it's really when it comes to skincare, the main thing I want people to know is that you want to have a less is more approach. Okay. So fewer products with fewer ingredients, products that are very balancing for your skin's pH because your skin becomes more sensitive and irritable. Acne, rosacea, eczema are all going to really thrive when your skin is very alkaline because your skin microbes that keep your skin so healthy do not like a high alkaline environment. Soap is like a 9 or a 10 on the pH scale, and your skin is around like a 5. So a foaming cleansers can be around a 9 or a 10. So if you're washing your face with that, that's really increasing the alkalinity of your skin. Your skin microbiome cannot thrive. And those microbes are there not only as a barrier and protection, but they're also there to regulate inflammation. So if you have very sensitive, inflamed skin, it's entirely possible that your skin microbiome is really off because of the products that you're using. So have a less is more approach to your skincare. Always make sure the most underrated skincare product is a toner. So many people are not using, and when I say a toner, I don't mean like back in the day, like in the 90s when I would like spritz my cotton ball and then wipe my face with the toner. I'm talking about a hydrosol that you spritz on your face every morning, every night before bed. So it's very anti-inflammatory, it's hydrating, and it brings down the pH of your skin to around a 5, 5.5, where your skin is going to be healthy. So cleanse at night, use your toner, and then use whatever serum or moisturizer your go-to. Fragrance is a big one to look for. Even the natural brands, a lot of the natural brands will still put fragrance in there. And I'm so anti-fragrance. Fragrance is like the most common skin irritant. Skin allergies are so much more common. So, there's a lot of, the one thing I'll say, I'll just finish up because I'm talking a lot. The last thing I will say, when you are shopping for skincare products, if the main marketing message is paraben free, then you can pretty much almost guarantee it's greenwashing. Because if all that brand can claim is that they're paraben free, then you know that there's a lot of other crap in there. paraben free is definitely a greenwashing term. And just like you read labels, people read labels of their food, like read labels of what your skincare is actually made of. Like, what are you putting on your face?
My husband has become really sensitive to fragrance, has been for years, but I was telling him
Okay.
about greenwashing because he had bought some deodorant and he was like, I can't even stand the smell. To your point, greenwashing is such a prevalent issue in our products and people don't realize, especially when they're new to all of this. It's such a, it
Totally.
can be a big learning curve. And this is what I like about product lines like yours that are so complete because then we don't have to look anywhere else. It's like, okay, I can learn this information and I can try this and I don't have to overwhelm myself with all this research. You've done a lot of that for us. So I appreciate this. I was saying this to you before we hit record was how much I was very impressed. I can't wait to try your product line, but
Yes, I'm going to send you some.
I think for being, well, we're going to carry it here at the clinic. I've actually already told people in Wild Collective that we're doing this. So now we're making it happen, but it's cost effective, clean beauty, and it's not an overwhelming amount of products, to your point. So can you tell us, this is a bit selfish for me and anyone else who's listening who's going to start testing out and trying your product line, how are we using it? How are we approaching this?
Yeah, so the main thing I want people to know about Hello Joyous and the main thing I want people to know about their skincare is that you really just want to simplify your skincare routine. Allow your skin to thrive and be healthy without slathering it with layers and so many different products. Allow your skin to be healthy. It's like allow the microbiome to thrive. So Hello Joyous, if you just stick to the most simple formula, you want to cleanse, you want to use a toner, and then you want to use a serum. What the skin needs is very simple. When it comes to after you use your toner, you have to replenish that lipid layer. So a lot of people will use just an oil-based serum. Ours is not just an oil-based serum because your skin needs moisture and hydration. It needs the fatty acid layer to be replaced and it needs hydration. So if you're only using oil-based serums, you're not hydrating your skin. And that's why so many people use an oil-based serum and they still feel like their skin is dry and then they have to slather on a moisturizer for that hydration. So by the way, our best-selling product is our Hella Hydrating Serum. And so it's just the 3 steps: cleanse, tone, and then serum. But our serum isn't just oil. It's cold-pressed organic rosehip oil, which is not an essential oil. That's a seed oil, and hyaluronic acid. Hyaluronic acid is something that's already in your body. Your skin hyaluronic acid is the ingredient that hydrates and plumps your skin and makes it's like when your skin is thirsty, essentially, Hella Hydrating Serum is like a big drink for your skin. So you're hitting both things, right? You're getting the moisture and the hydration, and you may not need to, I personally don't use any other moisturizers or products because when you use a toner, you always need to, when you're using a serum, you always need to use a toner first, spritz your face so that your skin is damp. Your skin has to be damp when you apply a serum so that your skin can actually absorb it. Think of your skin like a dry sponge. If you just drop an oil-based serum, even one like ours that has hyaluronic acid, if you just drop the serum onto a dry sponge, it's not going to spread and absorb beautifully. If your skin is damp, you've spritzed on your toner first, and then, so the sponge is wet, then when you drop the serum on, it spreads and absorbs beautifully. So that's a really key step that a lot of people miss in their skincare is the toner, not just for balancing your pH, but also a key step before you add any moisturizer or any type of serum. So it's really just 3 steps. And I created an eye serum as well, but that was really because so many people in my community kept asking me for it. I personally just use Hella Hydrating Serum on my whole face, but I was like, you know what? The community wants this. I'm going to create an eye serum that doesn't have any formaldehyde releasing ingredients, isn't packed with fragrance, is a less is more approach. I'm all about skinimalism. Few products, few ingredients. That's what I mean when I say skinimalism. And that's the whole concept of our line.
I love that.
Yeah, so that's why with our eye serum, I'm like, okay, I'm just going to create the most beautiful, the best product to reduce puffiness, dark circles, and support. Literally when you use it, I'll send you some of that too. Your skin feels like butter the next morning. So this is all cold pressed oils. There's green tea extract in there, which is so good for dark circles. And it's great for for skin. It's really great if you wake up and you're puffy as well. So those are kind of like the main product. We have a mask as well. All our products are waterless. So that's the other thing. When water is added to a product, water breeds bacteria really easily. So brands have to put in tons of preservatives. What is a preservative? A preservative is an antimicrobial. So if you're slathering your face with all these products that sure have lots of water and might feel very hydrating, but you're also putting all these preservatives on your skin, that's not going to support your skin microbiome. So all our products are waterless, and you might be thinking, well, how do you have a toner that's waterless? But what we do is we take only the organic plant matter and we distill it, and then we only take the distilled water and put that in the bottle. If you look at 95% of skincare, I would say, the first or second ingredient is water, especially with toners, whereas ours is just all of the hydrosols. Cleansers, look at your cleansers. How much of your cleanser is water? Are you just paying for expensive water? So with our cleanser, we use organic vegetable glycerin instead of water, which is such an amazing skincare ingredient, has so much research. It's been around for 50, 60 years, and it's so hydrating for the skin. So when you cleanse with our cleanser, your skin feels still buttery smooth. It feels really good. But I'm just going to warn everyone, our cleanser is not pretty. It's this brown, goopy, honey-like texture. Some people get freaked out by it. They're like, whoa. But that's just people are so used to cream or white or clear colored cleansers, but it's because of all the organic botanicals in there. It's concentrated organic botanicals. It's not refined. So yeah, you see the comfrey root in there. You see the fact that there's golden jojoba in there. Yeah, I could go on and on, but I'm going to stop now. That's sort of
being impressed that. You must have learned so much through this process. This is why, I really,
yes.
I really think you're amazing. But this is very impressive to see your products in so many stores. I imagine that had to be very difficult. And so for you to have done everything you've done is really amazing. And I also want to say this, just as a pick your brain also as a side thing, but you said you're 47 and your skin is gorgeous.
Oh, thank you.
I so appreciate it. From an aging perspective is keeping it very simple and hydrated.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Because your skin gets so irritated and sensitive when you don't have moisture and hydration. And especially as we age and estrogen dips, estrogen is so key for collagen, for keeping our skin nice and juicy. We really need to, as we age, we really need to care for our skin so much more because it's so much, it can become so much more sensitive very easily. So you really, But the cool thing is, we have customers, we have 13-year-olds and we have 83-year-olds. That's a nice thing because I really believe when you give your skin what it needs, then your skin can do its job. It's not about, I just cringe when I see, this, last summer, I went to visit my friend in Philadelphia, and we went to Sephora because I wanted to pick up this Ilia lipstick. Ilia is a more clean beauty brand. The Sephora effect is real. There was 12-year-olds everywhere, with these oh my God, I don't even know where I'm going with this comment other than just saying wow, so we have moms who buy our products for their teenagers. And then we have the full sort of age range of people using our products. And I think the reason that we've been distributed in so many mostly health stores is because people are getting results. But it's not, healthy skin isn't, of course, just about your skincare. It's just a very important aspect of having healthy skin.
Well, now you get to be the poster child of aging beautiful because you really are. So
and I'm always so careful about saying I hate the word anti-aging.
I know. I'm not anti.
But so many people will message me and be like, are these products anti-aging? And then it's okay, am I going to spend the time educating or I'm just going to be like, yeah, they're anti-aging. Sometimes it depends on the person. Sometimes I'm just yes, they're anti-aging because the ingredients are preventing, free radicals, all that stuff. So, but I will say we, of the formulas, we do have experts we work with to help us formulate. But with our best-selling product, our Hella Hydrating Serum, that was I'm we need a serum that's also hydrating. So I approached our formulator. I'm what think about this? And he's like, I love that. Let's try it. So, we do have like experts with like
Cool.
many more years of experience formulating than I do.
That's amazing. Okay. I've kept you for so long and I've appreciated it. I just have a few more questions.
Yeah.
Okay, shifting gears a little bit. Is there an experience in your life where at the time probably didn't love it, but upon looking back, you're so grateful it happened because you feel like it allowed a beautiful amount of wisdom or really changed the way you think?
Oh yeah, there's been so many different things. I would say like when I had my miscarriage, it gave me a new level of compassion, and it made me realize like how many women have also been through that and not talked about it. And so I feel like, I don't want to say I'm glad that happened to me because it really sucked. But, it happened a couple times. But there was one time that happened felt like more impactful and harder to deal with. But I feel like having that experience just sort of opened my eyes up to other women who are suffering, and then allowed them to like reach out to me and share and have that conversation. That's the one that kind of stands out to me the most.
For sure. What does it mean to you to reclaim your wild?
Reclaim my wild? Oh, I think I need to do that. I think when you said that I feel like I need to just like go out into nature and like forest bathe.
I
Yeah,
love that.
reclaim my wild. That statement to me means just like getting back to basics of what like human beings need to really thrive. And always for me, like being in nature and moving my body, that's like reclaiming the wild side and like what
I love that. I have some rapid fire questions. Are you ready?
Okay, I'm ready.
What books are on your nightstand?
Sorry, what books on my nightstand? Oh, I'm on all like beach reads right now. I'm reading the latest Taylor Jenkins Reid. And you know what's funny? I use a Kindle and I forget all the names of the books I read because I don't actually read physical books anymore. But Taylor Jenkins Reid, I've read like every single one of her books. The one I'm on right now is Maybe in Another Life. Do you read her
No,
books?
but I've seen them and I almost picked one up. Okay, I need to.
Okay. What's the Evelyn? I forget. The Something Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. I read that last year.
Yes.
So good. So I don't read I read very little educational stuff. Like Estrogen Matters is on my Kindle. I read that, but honestly, I like stuff that just like turns my brain off. So that's what I'm on right now, Maybe in Another Life, but I love all of her books. They're so good. And Emily Henry's good too, but not as good as Taylor Jenkins Reid.
I'm going to the beach.
That was a long answer to your rapid fire.
Yeah, that's okay. A lot of these are not great rapid fire. But what is one thing that brings you
My family, my husband, my daughter. That's two things.
Love it. Who do you admire most?
I would say my parents' relationship with each other because it's so sweet and kind. So I really admire that about them.
Like a rare
Just like they're adorable. They've been married like over 50 years. It's actually my mom's birthday today. My mom's like, guess where we're going? You're not going to approve. I'm like, oh, Mom, whatever. We're going to Mandarin. I'm like, Mandarin of all. It's like, you'll be full for the next 10 days.
Yeah.
But whatever.
Oh my gosh, that's hilarious. Yeah. Fill in the blank. Community is
everything. So important.
Mm-hmm. Advice you wish someone gave you 5 years ago.
Stop caring so much. Like, who gives a fuck?
I love that. Best word to describe you.
Joyous.
I would say that's so accurate.
These questions are making me sweaty now. I'm like, oh gosh.
Their name more than you. Truly. Joy, it has been a joy to have you on. No, you're an absolute delight. And I really have been a longtime fan of all the work that you do. And I'm super excited to try your skincare line because
amazing.
I think it's just going to be another reason to just think very highly of the work that you do, but also the level of integrity that you have. So thank you for being a woman in this space, disrupting
and doing
really important things. And for anyone who isn't already following you or a really avid lover of you, where can they find you?
Yes, you can find me on Instagram, Joyous Health. So it's Joyous Health. And my skincare is Hello Joyous. And joyoushealth.com as well, where I share tons of recipes and just inspiring tips for living a healthy, joyous life.
I love that. And we're going to throw a link to your skincare line in the show notes. So we'll make sure that's available to everyone too. Thank you for being here.
Fantastic.
Thank you so much for tuning in to Wild Medicine. I am so grateful to have you here, and I hope you're feeling inspired and empowered. If you enjoyed today's episode, please don't forget to subscribe and leave a 5-star rating. It helps us reach more incredible women just like you. And before you go, quick reminder, the information shared on this podcast is for educational purposes only and is not intended to diagnose or treat any medical condition. Please consult with your healthcare provider for personalized advice and care. And if you're ready to take inspired action and dive deeper into your own health journey, please visit us at poppyclinic.com. Let's rewild and reset your health together.